So, what is an algorithm, and why is ByteDance saying that TikTok's algorithm is not for sale? And how does this affect us as TikTok users if the algorithm is not for sale, but this law on January 19th is forcing the sale of TikTok? When we think about the word algorithm, we're often thinking about tech startups and social media and computer science. And, those things are all relevant. But algorithms are not limited to issues of computer science. They're something that we as human beings learn early in our development. And it is something that we use every single day in our life, even if we're totally off the grid and away from electronics. We are using algorithms every day. So, some examples of algorithms that you use in your daily life are things like recipes. Algorithms are a series of actions that are taken based on a condition. So, if your goal is to make a pizza and you have learned this recipe, you have learned an algorithm. I, as a New Yorker, spent several years trying to figure out how to make the perfect New York pizza crust at home in my home oven. And after many years of trial and effort, I've finally perfected it, and that algorithm is something that I am very proud of. Now, for me, because I am not a business, I'm not in the business of selling pizzas, I don't need to protect my algorithm. I'd be happy to make a TikTok video when the conditions are right, showing people exactly how I make the perfect New York pizza crust at home. So my algorithm starts with the basic elements. I've got flour, water, yeast, and olive oil. And I combine those in a certain order, in a certain way, to end up with the condition of crust that is capable of becoming that perfect finished New York pizza crust. Pliable, a little crunchy, the right amount of salt. And for me, one of the biggest things I figured out was the use of cornmeal instead of flour to help me transfer the pizza in and out of the oven. Right? So I'm not going to protect my algorithm, my recipe. TikTok, however, is in the business of the attention economy. They're in the business of recruiting and retaining talent, creators, so that we draw people to use and spend more time on the TikTok app, and to encourage things like the sales of various items that creators may have some reason to want to promote you, whether it's something they use in their daily lives or it's for their own personal business, or because they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and trying to figure out what works so that they can make money. So TikTok's algorithm is what makes TikTok TikTok. It's what makes it better for most users than any of the meta products like Instagram or Facebook or the cesspool of disinformation and hate that is Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter. So while the data on this app and the users on this app have a certain value, what is really valuable is the algorithm. It is the recipe for creating this app, the experience of the app that brings us onto it. So when a bipartisan group of lawmakers in both the House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, went and passed this law to force the sale of TikTok, and President Biden signed that bill into law, they set in motion an impossible requirement for ByteDance. They are basically the only ones in the world who know the recipe to the electronic version of that perfect New York style pizza crust. And it seems there is no amount of money that makes ByteDance or China or the CCP feel that selling that recipe to someone else is worth it to them. If I owned a pizza shop in New York City and I had the perfect recipe for the best crust in the world, I would not be willing to sell that for any amount of money whatsoever. I may be forced to sell my pizza shop, but I'm taking the recipes with me. And I'm going to use that recipe potentially to start another pizza shop. And if the US government has confiscated or just closed down my old pizza shop, that's for them to deal with, because I'm just going to start a new one with the recipe that I know works. So to recap, what's an algorithm? An algorithm is not some computer science term for nerds. An algorithm is a series of decisions or actions that are made based on a condition to produce a defined end result. And these electronic algorithms, what makes them so valuable is they're figuring out the algorithms that we use in our head to keep us engaged on this platform, to keep us entertained, to keep us happy with our options to find new information, spread new information, make purchasing decisions, to influence others, or just to have fun. The thing that makes the TikTok algorithm so valuable is it just matches our own human algorithms so well.